Imagine this. You step away from the global spotlight and you choose this. Quiet, almost secret victory.
Right.
A wedding that happens completely away from the cameras. That's exactly what Gisele Bündchen just did down in Surfside, Florida. It was like the ultimate act of privacy.
And it really wasn't just a wedding, you know? It was the definitive end of a chapter. 3 years after that massive, high-profile divorce from Tom Brady, she's formalizing a whole new life.
A quieter one.
Exactly. One built on insularity and calm.
Absolutely. But then, in that same little pocket of South Florida, that quiet moment creates this digital earthquake from her ex-husband.
A huge one.
We're talking about really jarring social media posts.
Right.
They put competitive energy right next to, what felt like genuine existential dread. It was complicated, messy, and the media jumped on it, calling it a dark reaction.
And what's so fascinating here for you as you're listening is the sheer emotional speed of Gisele's life now. A new partner, a new baby, a new marriage, all in this incredibly short timeline.
It's breathtakingly fast.
And we're all watching Tom Brady, a guy obsessed with controlling every single variable in his life, navigate this very public, very messy, emotional fallout in real time.
That's the mission for this deep dive. We're going to analyze that dual story. Gisele's very calculated retreat versus Brady's complicated emotional signals and his own life transition.
Yeah.
We've pulled from a ton of sources, TMZ, People, Awful Announcing, even some sociological analysis, to piece together not just the timeline, but the real implications of his digital response and the challenges he's facing in his new career.
And by focusing on the 3 years since the divorce was finalized, which was October 2022, right up to this wedding in December 2025, we get the context we need to understand why the reaction was so intense.
Right.
This is less about gossip and more of a case study, really. A case study in modern elite family dynamics playing out for everyone to see.
Okay, let's unpack this. We have to start with the quiet half of the story. Segment 1. Gisele's calculated retreat, the non-event wedding that ironically made a ton of noise.
That's the key phrase right there, non-event. Sources say they went out of their way to make it a non-event, to strip away all the spectacle.
It's the perfect term for it. So, based on the marriage records from Miami-Dade County, Gisele, who's 45 now, and Joaquim Valente, the jiu-jitsu instructor, who's 38, they got their license on December 1st, 2025. And they were married just 2 days later, December 3rd.
And that speed is totally strategic. You go from license to wedding in 48 hours to mitigate the media circus.
For sure.
It was at their home in Surfside, Florida. Close friends, close family. This wasn't just a preference. It was a total rejection of that whole celebrity wedding machine that defined her past life.
And the ceremony itself, it formalizes this really rapid, really grounded family they're building. They went from being friends to a couple in June 2023.
Right.
But the biggest step was their baby boy, River Valente, who was born back in February of 2025. So that's Gisele's third child, of course.
Yeah.
With Benjamin and Vivian from her marriage to Brady.
And the whole foundation of this relationship, from what's been reported, is just stability. Valente came into her life back in December 2021 as a jiu-jitsu instructor for her and her son.
He was a steady presence.
A very steady presence during all the divorce turmoil. Sources really emphasize that it was a natural transition from friend to partner and that he offered her comfort and stability.
So the wedding happens on the 3rd, but the news doesn't even break until December 19th. That's, 15 days of complete silence? What does that delay tell you?
It tells me that privacy is now her ultimate luxury. It's a commodity for her. Sources explicitly said she wanted to do it her own way. She was tired of all the attention.
Yeah, you can imagine.
And her main priority was creating a peaceful and loving environment. So this small ceremony, it's like she's launching a new brand identity for herself, one that's all about wellness and family, which is a huge contrast to her old life. She's basically recalibrated her public value by becoming inaccessible.
That's a great way to put it. Privacy is a luxury commodity. Because if Gisele is all about silence and containment, Tom Brady's response was, the exact opposite.
It's a complete breakdown of that control narrative he's famous for. He goes from being the master of his universe to this high vulnerability signaling.
The juxtaposition is just brutal. Hours after the news broke on December 20th, he posts 2 things on Instagram, and they could not be more different.
First, you get the projection of strength, the LFG post.
Right, the first trap, as everyone called it. A super stylized photo, black T-shirt, holding a football, captioned LFG. It's all resilience, focus, classic Brady.
But then you get the second post, and this is where it all gets so much more complicated.
This is the one.
It's a selfie.
Yeah.
He's in a white hoodie with the words "Forever Young" on it, and the caption is, yeah. Now, if he stopped there, fine. It's just another motivational post.
But he didn't stop there. And the core detail, the thing that sent like actual shockwaves through fans and the media, was the song he put over that selfie. Logic's 2017 mental health anthem, 1-800-273-8255.
We have to remind you, that number is the former U.S. suicide prevention lifeline. This is not a subtle choice. It's incredibly direct. And the lyrics that played weren't just some vague philosophical lines.
No, not at all. We're talking about the lines, I feel like I'm out of my mind. I feel like my life ain't mine. That is a direct, really heavy signal of an emotional crisis.
Yeah.
I genuinely had to stop and reread the reports on that.
Yeah.
It's a level of public vulnerability we just don't see from athletes at that level, ever.
And that's exactly why fans and the media instantly saw it as a profoundly dark reaction. You have this external facade of strength right next to this raw internal vulnerability. It just confirmed everything people were saying about the brutal emotional speed of Gisele's new wave.
I do wonder, though, if we should look at it from another angle. I mean, is using a crisis hotline song like that, is it just risky? Or is it maybe a kind of performative vulnerability? You know, something we see in celebrity culture, designed to pull sympathy and attention back to him.
Well, that's the central question, isn't it? For a guy like Brady, who is so obsessed with control, to choose such an explicit, emotionally charged signal, it's a huge deviation.
It really is.
It shows that psychological challenge of decoupling. And sources have pointed out this is kind of a pattern for him now.
Oh, yeah. When her pregnancy news came out, he posted that whole man in the arena quote about resilience.
Right.
After the baby was born, it was a quote about the secret to being loved. Every big step Gisele takes toward her new private life gets a philosophical, kind of distressed public post from him. It's like he's processing his grief through this ongoing digital conversation with millions of people.
It just screams lack of closure. No matter what he achieves professionally, the formal closure of her wedding seems to have triggered this massive wave of turmoil that he felt he had to express. The line between his private grief and public performance it's basically gone.
That's a heavy thought. And all this emotional chaos is happening while he's trying to launch the biggest, most complicated chapter of his career. So before we get into his $375 million future, which is turning out to be way messier than anyone thought, if you're finding this deep dive valuable, make sure you're subscribed. You won't want to miss how this personal turmoil connects to his professional life. So the same man grappling with all this internal vulnerability also needs to deliver on a massive 10-year, $375 million contract as a lead NFL analyst for Fox Sports.
That is an enormous undertaking. He's attempting a complete career change, and the reviews so far have been, frankly, savage.
They really have. The story of Tom Brady right now is split. You know, the vulnerable ex-husband versus the relentlessly hustling professional, and the early reports on his performance as an analyst were extremely harsh.
Bill Simmons called his first season a disaster.
A disaster, yeah. The argument was that his analysis was too safe. It just didn't have the fire or the insight people expected.
Simmons' point was that he seemed reluctant to criticize anyone, players or coaches, which made his commentary feel a little flat.
Right, detached.
But to be fair, sources do say he's shown some improvement recently, especially when he's talking about things where his expertise is just undeniable, like quarterback development with Daniel Jones or breaking down Bill Belichick's strategy.
But even with that huge contract, there's this big structural problem in his professional life that seems to be causing issues at the very top of the NFL. He's been approved as a minority owner of the Las Vegas Raiders.
And this is where the conflict of interest just becomes a huge liability. His ownership status puts strong limitations on what he can do as a broadcaster for Fox.
For instance?
Well, he reportedly can't interview rival owners, he has limited access to team sidelines, and he has to stay so impartial that it really restricts the kind of inside scoop that Fox probably paid $375 million for.
And it's not just a problem for Fox. Sources say this whole conflict is drawing the ire of other owners around the league. They see his dual role as just not fair from a competitive standpoint. It really puts a big question mark over that whole Fox deal if he wants to keep his ownership stake.
In this whole situation, it forces you to compare his strategy with his ex-wife's. I mean, here's the aha moment for you. Despite Brady being this icon with a record-breaking deal, When you look at their finances in
Oh,
2025,
this is fascinating.
Giselle's net worth, estimated at $400 million, actually surpasses Brady's, which is around $300 million.
Wow, that is a staggering financial detail. It just proves that Gisele built her own independent economic empire that gives her more stability and, more power in this whole separation. The financial dynamic is completely inverted.
Exactly. Her ability to choose total privacy is backed up by total financial independence. Meanwhile, Brady's trying to make his next chapter work while constantly facing scrutiny and those unretirement rumors.
And they never die, do they? Brady, at 48, said on Shaq's podcast he feels like he could go play with anybody after just a month of training.
He did hedge a bit, saying the intense grind would be tough.
Sure, but he even teased a return in his 50s on Instagram. The hustle just never, ever stops.
The athlete wants to be forever young, even as the man is clearly dealing with some very complex emotional stuff.
And while he's juggling all that, the tabloids have been documenting the Bachelor Brady era all through 2025. There was that link to actress Sydney Sweeney, which sources immediately shot down.
Said they were just acquaintances at a wedding.
Right. But the bigger and messier buzz was around Sofia Vergara, after they were seen together on that super yacht, the Luminara, back in July.
And that immediately sparked dating rumors everywhere.
Which led to that really controversial rumor that got shut down so fast. A report claimed Brady called Vergara too old.
Yeah, that was ugly.
His team immediately called it pure fiction and emphasized how much respect he has for her. It just shows you how much public hunger there is for the next chapter in his romantic life.
And despite all of it, the dating rumors, the Fox deal, the emotional posts, sources confirm that as 2025 ends, Brady is still single. He's focused on his career and his 3 kids. So if we synthesize everything we've talked about in this deep dive, it really illustrates this profound split in how elite figures handle these massive life changes. Gisele Bündchen chose radical intentional privacy to build a peaceful and financially secure new family.
And Tom Brady, while he's trying to navigate a career change worth a staggering $375 million, keeps using social media as this public, cryptic, and often volatile outlet to process his pain. He literally broadcasts his state of mind with the title of a crisis hotline song.
And we have to remember the tension that's still there. They co-parent 2 children, and they both own these multi-million-dollar properties in the exact same part of South Florida. They're financially and romantically separate, but they're always going to be physically close.
So what does this all mean for you as you're thinking about this? This whole saga really shows that even for people who seem to have every advantage, legacy, money, fame, the process of real, deep emotional closure is relentless. You can't outrun it.
And the core tension raised by Brady's reaction is whether a modern celebrity can even manage genuine, painful grief while they're also maintaining a multi-million-dollar brand built on being invincible. Is it possible for a public figure to find peace when the only way they seem to know how to communicate turmoil is through public performance?
You've been listening to this deep dive, where we unpack the stories shaping pop culture and celebrity life. Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to explore what's coming next.